Number 10. The giant toilet huntsman. First on our list of the biggest spiders ever is an enormous huntsman spider that was living in a family's bathroom only to emerge each time someone used the toilet. This is a pretty frightening guest to have living behind your toilet bowl. The Australian family even caught video of this monstrous beast crawling out from the back of their toilet like something out of a nightmare. Giant huntsman spiders are super common in Australia, and this story is a lot less unique in the land down under than you might think. Apparently, many Australians just kind of have to accept that big huntsman spiders are going to live with them. They are not going to pay any rent, and they're going to terrorise guests while using the toilet. What's really strange about this story is that the family reported that the huntsman spider would only come out when they flushed their toilet. Whether it was the noise that frightened the spider, or the arachnid just thought it would be funny to terrorise the family, your guess is as good as mine. Can you imagine finding an enormous spider like this in your bathroom? It's where you're most vulnerable, jeez. What would you do in this situation? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe if you're new here. We have lots more videos like these. Number 9. Goliath bird-eating spider. We have a lot of stories to talk about today, but first I want to mention the biggest of all the spiders. The largest known spider in the world is the male Goliath bird-eating spider. The species is found in the rainforests of South America, mostly in French Guiana, Guyana, and Suriname, but they have also been found in Venezuela and Brazil. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, the largest collected specimen came from Venezuela in 1965, and it had a ridiculous leg span of 11 inches. That means this spider could cover your entire dinner plate. That's how massive it is. They only weigh about 50 grams, but what's really cool about the bird-eating spider is that it can live for at least 10 years. This spider is indeed a tarantula. It uses the hairs all over its body to sense vibrations both on the ground and in the air. And even though they are known as bird eaters, they don't actually eat birds very frequently. I mean, they are hard to catch. But the first time someone found one, the giant puppy-sized tarantula was chowing down on a hummingbird. The creepiest thing this spider does is rub its bristly legs together, making a hissing noise that is so loud it can be heard up to 15 feet away. That will give you some serious chills. Number 8. Giant imported spiders. This is probably a story that not many people are interested in hearing. But one of the biggest spiders ever, and definitely one of the scariest, is making its way to a city near you. It's called the Joro spider, and it's traditionally found mostly in Japan, Korea, and China. These spiders measure about 5 inches long, and are so big and mean that they can catch hummingbirds in their webs. And while these spiders are supposed to be half a world away in Asia, according to some news reports in 2020, the spiders are now in the United States. Specifically, they have made an appearance in the state of Georgia. The good news is that the Joro spider is not deadly, but a bite from one can definitely hurt. Honestly, the worst part is that they are frightening to look at. These spiders are huge, they are yellow and black, and they make enormous webs big enough to catch small birds and to seriously frighten you the next time you take a stroll in the park. According to an agent from the University of Georgia, these spiders most likely hitched a ride to the USA in crates that came through the Jackson Atlanta International Airport. Talk about illegal immigrants. Number 7. Human-sized web. Probably the last thing you want to see in the middle of your hiking trail is the spider web large enough to catch a fully grown person. However, it's more likely to happen than you may know, especially if you live in Missouri, where this enormous spider web was found just recently in 2020. The photo was taken by the Missouri Department of Conservation, and it's definitely shocking enough to spark a quick wave of arachnophobia. This huge and overly intricate web belongs to an orb weaver spider. But the good news is that no orb weaver spider alive has the ability to eat you. In fact, the spider web is more amazing than it is scary, even if you are terrified of spiders. Orb weavers are famous for building spiral, wheel-shaped webs between trees, in fields, and even in gardens. And just like their webs, orb weaver spiders are unusually large, super hairy, and even a little furry. Even though you could probably wiggle your way out of a web like this, you still probably wouldn't want to walk straight into it. It's basically a heart attack waiting to happen. Next time you're taking a scenic stroll in Missouri, keep your eyes peeled for giant webs. Number 6. Raining spiders. This story is actually so horrifying that it needed to be added to this list. These may not be the biggest spiders in the world, but they are definitely the most terrifying. The story comes to us from Brazil, where a horrific incident in 2019 had spiders raining from the sky. This is a real phenomenon that you would never want to be caught in the middle of. The incident was filmed in the south of Brazil, and in the video you can very clearly see hordes of huge black dots raining down from above. These are a special species of orb weaver spiders that are social and work together to build some of the biggest and most intricate webs you have ever seen, and they build them very high up in the forest canopy. But wait, if you look very closely, you will see the spiders are not actually raining from the sky. They are suspended inside of probably the biggest spider web in the world. The web is so huge and so fine that it's basically invisible to the naked eye. These spiders work together to build what is essentially a huge net stretching across the treetops. Near the end of the video, you can see them moving across the web. It truly is the stuff of nightmares. Number 5. Brazilian salmon pink bird eater. The second largest spider in the world is the Brazilian salmon pink bird-eating tarantula. It's nearly as big as the Goliath, but it has a leg span of only 10 inches rather than 12 inches. You might even say these spiders are a little more interesting. At least, they look a lot cooler with their pink stripes and salmon-coloured hairs sticking out of their legs. They are found mostly in Brazil, and these kinds of spiders generally hang out on the forest floor inside of a burrow, or scurrying underneath dead logs and leaves looking for prey. And just like the Goliath spider, the pink bird eater has a confusing name. It doesn't really eat that many birds. Most of its diet consists of insects, frogs, lizards and mice. Number 4. Biggest funnel web spider. The biggest funnel web spider in the world has been found in Australia. This happened in 2020, and according to a report from ABC News, the ridiculously massive funnel web spider was actually handed in to the Australian Reptile Park near Sydney, where keepers promptly named him Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I'm not sure what the name is all about, as they don't even look anything alike. But in any case, this huge spider was found after the reptile park actually called on people to go out and catch as many funnel web spiders as they could and donate them so that the park could milk the spiders for their venom to create very important anti-venom. The director of the Australian Reptile Park has said that the capture of the giant funnel web spider is amazing because the one spider is so big it will produce enough venom to save multiple lives. According to the park, the venom collected from these spiders saves around 300 lives each year. Number 3. The giant spider that was really a crab. The biggest spider to have ever existed on our planet has been denounced as a fraud. You might remember the fossil of a creature unearthed in Argentina quite a few years ago that was quickly labelled the biggest spider in existence. It even appeared in the Guinness Book of World Records as the world's largest spider, with a plaster cast of the animal being exhibited in museums all over the world. It was actually a fact for over 20 years that the Magarachne cervini was the biggest spider before it went extinct. But just recently, an expert in arachnids from the University of Manchester has brought forth evidence claiming that this creature was never a spider at all. The expert is claiming the spider to actually be a sea scorpion. And he might be right. Further research has shown that the giant spider actually had large claws and only 2 eyes, which is not very much like a spider at all. It also apparently had a huge body with a shell, and I don't know any spiders that live in shells. According to this scientist, the famous spider is actually more like a crab than an arachnid. Had this monstrosity actually been a spider, it would have been around 3 feet in length. Number 2. Largest spider fossil ever. The largest spider fossil ever has just been found recently in China. This is not the biggest spider that has ever existed, but it is the biggest complete fossil ever discovered in history. It's being called Nephila jurassica, and it measures about 2 inches from end to end. That's obviously not huge, but it's pretty significant for a fossil. It dates back all the way to the middle of the Jurassic period, about 165 million years ago. And even more interesting is that this spider is from the same family that still exists today. It's basically the fossil of an ancient orb weaver spider. Today's orb weaver spiders can grow to be at least 5 inches in diameter and are notorious for spinning huge silk webs that can trap bats and birds. There is still relatively little known about this prehistoric spider, but the fact that we could find a spider fossil this old in itself is pretty incredible. The next time you see a spider in your house, remember, it's actually a dinosaur. Number 1. Redback spider on the toilet. The last story takes us back to the toilet. It's a pretty tragic story about a young Australian tradesman and his precious parts. The first incident occurred when a man who preferred not to be named was bitten on his ding-dong by a redback spider while sitting on a porta potty on a job site. As you can imagine, being bitten by any spider on the tip of your little gentleman would be extraordinarily unpleasant. But being bit by a redback spider, which is essentially the Australian version of the black widow spider, is straight up terrifying. The man was rushed to the hospital and everything turned out to be okay in the end. But here's where things get funny. 5 months after this man was bitten rather rudely by the spider, he was using another portable toilet at a building site when the exact same thing happened to him again in the exact same spot. And if you don't believe me, this is a real story that was even reported by the BBC because it's just so ridiculous. According to the man himself, he looked down and saw the enormous spider with its disgusting black legs moving around the rim of the toilet after it had chomped down pretty much in the exact same spot as last time. Everything turned out to be okay again, but the sheer bad luck of being this guy is a little hard to handle. It seems impossible, but it really did happen. I can safely say I will never use a porta potty in Australia ever.
Number 9. Lance Carlson vs. Octopus. When it comes to octopi and squids, you honestly don't hear too much about them attacking humans. Sure, you hear stories about the legendary Kraken tearing up ships and attacking sailors, but in reality, they rarely, if ever, go after people. Unless your name is Lance Carlson, apparently. This happened in Australia, and the event occurred in March of this year. Lance was with his daughter at a popular beach spot when he saw something come out of the water. He soon realized that it was an octopus jumping out of the water, something you definitely don't see every day, and then proceeded to film it. And as he did, the octopus lunged at him on the beach. I took that footage, it lashed out at me and I was quite surprised. Then it swam off into deeper water, Carlson told CNN Friday. Now, that might not sound like an attack, but trust us, we're not done, and neither was the octopus. While swimming nearby soon after, Carlson was examining a pile of crab shells when he felt a whipping sensation across his left arm, followed by a second strike across his neck and upper back. Within a minute, a perfect imprint of an octopus tentacle appeared on Carlson's neck and back. Carlson had to scramble out of the water while being blinded by ink and was taken to his hotel room where, we kid you not, Coca-Cola was used to try and treat his wounds. The pain went away, and more than anything since then, it's been more the physical hit that was painful. The imprint on my neck in those photos is more from the physical hit, and I guess it makes complete sense when you look at the video I took 20 minutes earlier of that lashing out, he said. To reiterate, octopi aren't known for attacking humans, but this is a perfect example of why you don't tempt fate, even if you're getting a good video recorded at the time. Number 8. The USS Indianapolis. You're going to be hearing about a lot of shark attacks on this list, but this is easily one of the most terrifying encounters with them ever. Because it wasn't about one shark attacking, it was about waves of them attacking. It was near the end of World War II in 1945, and the United States was getting ready to make and drop the atomic bombs on 2 targets in Japan. But the uranium needed to be transported to a certain site close to Japan. The USS Indianapolis was assigned that job. They completed the job and shipped out again in the Philippine Sea. They never made it to their next target though, as they were found by a Japanese submarine who sank the ship. Hundreds survived the attack by the sub, but the problem was for them that no one knew where they were due to this being a secret mission even after the delivery of the uranium. Add to that, they were very far from land, and this spot in the sea was full of predators. As we alluded to before, it was full of sharks, and those sharks were circling them and were very hungry. Many of the crew were in a panic state, to the point that they were attracting the sharks to them, and thus they were slowly picked off, one by one. These sharks were noted to be relentless, and this went on for 4 days without food, water, and being baked by the sun. The fact that any of those crewmen were able to survive was a miracle. Eventually, a routine plane sweep of the area led to the survivors being found. Rescue operations went late into the night, but those who made it were brought back home. This remains one of the deadliest shark attacks in the history of the world due to the number of deaths by the sharks and the aggressive nature of the sharks as a whole. It's true that this kind of encounter is rare for various reasons, but it shows just how deadly sharks can be when the right circumstances line up. Number 7. Diver vs. Atlantic Goliath Groper. The Atlantic Goliath Groper is a species of fish that are found in usually tropical areas of water that are close to the surface, and they prefer to live in areas like coral reefs, artificial reefs, and pretty much anywhere else they can find a good hiding spot to use to get prey. Their name is accurate as well, since they can grow to be around 8 feet in length. And given their nature as predators, that means people shouldn't mess with them when they see them. Yet one diver did, and was taught a hard lesson, one he'll never forget for sure. Diver Arif Sabir was with his wife off the coast of Florida and was doing some spearfishing. Sure enough, he caught a fish with his spear, which his wife caught on camera. However, while he was celebrating the catch, an Atlantic Goliath Groper suddenly appeared and approached the diver, even swimming by him and circling around so that it could look him square in the face. After a standoff, Sabir decided that he had won, so he made his way to the surface, his wife filming the whole event. As he was going to the surface though, the groper followed him, and apparently you could hear Sabir laughing as it did, thinking it was just curious about the fish and wasn't going to do anything. But he was very wrong. The Atlantic Goliath groper lunged out, grabbed the fin of the diver and ripped it right off of his foot. Then the groper rushed forward and ate both the fish and the spear that it was on. Once it did that though, it spun around and swam away, leaving the divers alone. Later on, Sabir would find his spear in a sandbank about a quarter of a mile away. As many have noted, Sabir was lucky that he didn't lose a foot in this encounter. Atlantic Goliath gropers aren't just known for their length, but their powerful jaws, which help them close down on prey, which Sabir almost was in this instance. Plus, there have been many cases of people being stalked or even attacked by gropers, such as this one, because they perceive them as a threat. Let this be a lesson. Don't underestimate a fish of good size when you're on its turf. It never ends well for you. Number 6. Tyler McQuillan versus Great White Shark. Shark attacks aren't always fatal, and they don't happen as often as you might expect. However, they do happen. And as Tyler McQuillan can attest to, they can get pretty dangerous really fast. He was off the coast of California near Santa Barbara with his friends and went spearfishing. As he was doing so, he felt an impact that made him lose a flipper. At first, he just thought his friends had come around to prank him, but as he looked around, he found himself facing a great white shark. What's more, the foot that had lost its flipper was actually injured, making things even worse. The impact that hurt his foot also led to him losing his spear gun, so he had to swim down to get it back while dodging the shark, and then had to use the spear gun to defend himself and ensure that the shark didn't try and kill him. Mind you, all of this was happening while he was injured and against something that moved a lot faster than him in the water. He had to jab it several times with the end of the spear in order to get the shark to go away. All told, McQuillan fared better than most, including only getting 2 broken toes out of the endeavor. No doubt what saved him was the spear gun, because great white sharks have one of the most powerful bite strengths in the whole world and would have ripped right through his wetsuit if given the chance. Thankfully, that didn't happen in this instance, and McQuillan should be very grateful for that. And in fact, he was. What would your worst sea creature attack be? Have you ever had to face a shark? Let us know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe for some more wild animal encounter stories. Number 5. Boy versus box jellyfish. Jellyfish are very much a type of creature we know as humans to be wary of, because their stings can range from painful to toxic to fatal, depending on the species you encounter. In Australia, we have one of the deadliest sea monsters around, the box jellyfish. And sadly, as 2021 reminded us, any encounter with them can end fatal. In March, a 17-year-old boy was swimming in the waters off the coast when he was attacked by a box jellyfish. And despite the fact that he was treated and got into a hospital in time, he died a week later. Box jellyfish have traits that set them apart from other jellyfish, the National Oceanic Service said of the animal. Most notably, box jellyfish can swim at maximum speeds approaching 4 knots, whereas most species of jellyfish float wherever the current takes them with little control over the direction. And that means that an encounter with them can be well and truly accidental, but no matter how it happened, the results, as you can see, can be quite disastrous. Number 4. Sharks versus golf course. And now for something a bit different. Anyone who watches golf knows that sometimes animals go and cause a bit of havoc on the green. But one animal you wouldn't expect to encounter as you play would be a shark, let alone a whole set of them. But that's exactly what happened near Brisbane, Australia. You see, a storm had caused flooding near the golf course, and that naturally raised the water levels up to where the sharks, bull sharks in this case, were able to swim from the waters they were in to the water hazards of the golf course itself. The irony of which is that when the waters went down to their regular levels, the sharks were still there. There were a set of 6 bull sharks going and roaming the waters of that golf course. You know, this really gives a new meaning to the phrase water hazard. Number 3. Girl versus backwater shark. A very telltale mistake when it comes to people swimming in dangerous waters is that they think they're safe because they know the area or that they've swam there before. And for one girl, she was swimming in waters right off the dock when she was attacked. No, she wasn't attacked on the dock, but she was attacked very close to it. A mere 12 feet from safety, in fact. Wilbur Drummond was next door to this young girl when it happened. He warned her that something might come out and attack, but she didn't listen. Her sister did a great job tending to her. She wrapped the wound in several towels, which became a pressure bandage. The woman was bitten just below the knee, but as to what kind of shark it was, no one knows. This goes to show, though, that any place can have a dangerous predator, and you don't want to take it lightly. Number 2. Bethany Hamilton versus Tiger Shark. This is the story of Bethany Hamilton, who had a terrible shark encounter that altered her life forever. In 2003, her friend, and her friend's family were out swimming and surfing in Hawaii when a tiger shark came out of nowhere and took Bethany's left arm almost clean off. Her friends were able to get her to shore, and her friend's father was able to patch her up enough to get her to the hospital. Because of the nature of the injury, she lost almost 60% of her blood by the time she got to the hospital, but somehow she lived. Despite the loss of her arm and the very understandable mental trauma that could have befallen her, Bethany wouldn't allow that to happen to her. She was a professional surfer before the incident, and she refused to let what that shark did to her be the end of her story. She went back to surfing, and she learned to use her body in a way that allowed her to keep going and even surf professionally again. That kind of resilience is remarkable and shows that even while it's terrifying, you can live on even after one of these gruesome attacks. Number 1. Night divers versus a wall of barracuda. This final story comes from a Reddit user who talked about how when he was younger, his father and him went on a night dive. Fairly standard stuff, right? Except as they were gazing at an octopus, his father tapped him on the shoulder and he noted that from floor to ceiling was a group of barracudas passing over. It was a wall of barracuda from floor to ceiling. We were totally surrounded. They hunt at night, and a school of them were passing over our group. Fortunately, they have extremely poor eyesight and were just checking us out. By his own admission, he wasn't in danger, but that doesn't mean it couldn't have taken a turn for the worse had the situation shifted. With so many of those barracuda, anything could have happened. Thankfully, it didn't. Number 9. Giant barrel jellyfish. Jellyfish can be found all throughout the ocean, and not unlike many other species, they come in all shapes and sizes. In 2019, 2 divers were shocked and amazed when they came face to face with a giant jellyfish known as the giant barrel jellyfish. There are some jellies that have incredibly long tentacles, like the lion's mane jellyfish, which has tentacles over 30 meters long. But the giant barrel jellyfish is known for its massive bell, and it is well over the size of a human, as Dan Abbott and Lizzie Daly would discover. The cream-colored jellyfish was spotted off the coast of Cornwall, England. It's known to get large, but I haven't seen one this big, Daly told CBS News. Dan said he hasn't seen one this big either. Their appearance is quite distinctive. They're the largest jellyfish you can get here in the UK waters. Daly said, they're not a threat to humans. They have a mild sting, but wouldn't cause damage to humans, which they would then prove by swimming alongside the jellyfish for well over an hour, and it didn't seem to mind their company at all. It was a beautiful and peaceful encounter that they're not likely to ever forget. Number 8. The lionesses and the kidnapped girl. There have been many times when humans and animals have saved each other from harm in one form or another, but sometimes it goes beyond the rational logic of it all, and it delves into the realms of whether these creatures know more than we think they do. Such as the case of 3 lions who actually saved a girl from being kidnapped. This happened in Ethiopia, where a little 12-year-old girl was taken by 4 men, with their goal to try and get her to marry one of them. Yuck! They held her captive for over a week, and then the police finally got a location on them. But by the time they had reached that location, they were already gone. The kidnappers took the girl and ran, which would usually end badly for the girl, except that the group ran into a trio of lions. The lions scared the men away. The kidnappers ran for their lives and left the girl. Given what we know of lions, you'd expect them to eat the girl next, as she's easy prey, right? Wrong. Reports say the girl was crying when the lions saw her. Maybe the lions thought she was a young cub. We will never know for sure, but anywho, they protected her in case the kidnappers came back. This is the kind of story you just can't make up. The police eventually got to where the girl was, and they were amazed by what they saw. She was unharmed, and the lions even let her go to the police officers. As noted, humans and lions don't have the best history with one another, but in this case, they were not only able to see that this girl was in danger, but that she needed to be protected until her pride came along and saved her. Truly, just an amazing encounter. Number 7. The Dolphin and Dick Van Dyke. Dick Van Dyke is one of the most famous actors in history, with credits like The Dick Van Dyke Show, Diagnosis Murder, Mary Poppins, and more. He was even a guest on The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson, and the host asked Van Dyke if he had ever surfed near his California home. Dyke noted that he did do this once upon a time, but told a story as to why he wouldn't do it anymore. According to him, he almost died while surfing one day. He was in the ocean, not a care in the world. He was chilling so hard he fell asleep. When he awoke, he wasn't on his board anymore, and he was in open water. Usually, this would be a death sentence, as open water is extremely dangerous, but not for Dick Van Dyke. You see, something was keeping him afloat, and as he felt around, he could feel fins. At first, he feared it was sharks, but in fact, it was a pod of dolphins. They not only kept him afloat, but they carried him back to shore and to safety. While it's true that actors do like to embellish stories, Van Dyke claimed his story was 100% true. Dolphins are known to be quite friendly with humans and even save their lives on multiple occasions. Did that happen here with Dick Van Dyke? Only the man himself knows for sure. Number 6. Bear vs. Lion. Robert Biggs was enjoying a day of hiking through the woods of California when off in the distance he noticed some bears, a mother and her cub. More often than not, this is going to end bad for the human because mother bears are very aggressive when it comes to protecting their young. Robert knew this and stayed still, just watching them, which was a wise decision based on what he knew at the time. The problem was that he too was being watched by a mountain lion. The wildcat attacked him from behind. He grabbed me from behind and knocked me to the ground, Biggs told the Huffington Post. I was on my knees. I had my rock pick out because I was on a steep incline and I smashed the cat in the head with it. He screamed, but he didn't let go. Then something amazing happened. The mother bear saw or heard what was happening and rushed in to save Biggs. She fought the mountain lion off. It was no match for Mama Bear. After a victory, the bear left Biggs alone and he was able to head home with only a few scrapes. But according to Biggs, the bear was doing more than just defending its own. I'm 100% sure it did want to save my life, he said. We made eye contact. I'd seen the bears before and I knew she knew who I was. What an amazing story. Why do you think the bear came to Robert Biggs' rescue? What would you have done in the situation? Let us know in the comments below, and if you're liking this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. Number 5. Whale breach. Reader's Digest has always been one to look into the honest and heartwarming stories of people, to see what kind of incredible experiences they've had in their lives, and for one woman named Amy Motherwell, she had an encounter with a whale that was apparently quite breathtaking. My most memorable wildlife encounter was holidaying in Albany, Western Australia. We were out in the bay in a small tinny when a whale and her calf began to get close to our boat. We moved away, and just a moment later the whale breached completely out of the water in the wake of our boat. It was one of the best things I have ever had the privilege to see. Not surprisingly, this is one of the appeals of going on the water near whales, because they are often willing to put on a show in one form or another. And just being that close to them is something special as well. Hopefully she didn't get too soaked when the whale did breach, but we don't think that she would have cared. Number 4. The microbat. Another tale from Reader's Digest in regards to an amazing animal encounter comes from Rosie Rose, who noted that while she was on her way to a car one time, she saw something odd on the ground. At first, she thought it was a moth because of its size. However, as she went down to pick it up, she found herself looking at a microbat. And while some might have been put off by that, Rosie wasn't. In fact, she tried to do her best for her new guest. I then spent the whole night researching about bats and food and whatever else I could. Seeing as I live in the middle of nowhere, there aren't a lot of people about that can help. But I had spoken to wildlife groups and had formula ordered and was already madly in love with my guest. She was very careful in how she fed and washed him, and she was able to watch him grow and even trained him to react to different calls she made for him. Although the bat died not too long after, his presence helped her and her neighbors understand the wonder and truth about bats as a whole, such as how they keep the insect population down and occasionally protect Gotham City. For such a tiny bit of my life, he left a big mark on my heart. Aww. Number 3. Mr. Souza and the Penguin. João de Souza was a 71-year-old man living in Rio de Janeiro. He had lost his wife, and in an effort to cope with the loneliness, he would go walking along the beach. But one day in 2011, as he was doing his walk by the beach, he came across a little South American Magellanic penguin that appeared to be struggling. The poor penguin was covered in oil, which was killing it. João saved the penguin from the waters and took it home. He slowly and carefully cleaned the penguin so that it could be better, which is indeed the proper way of handling the situation when it comes to animals covered in oil. Once back to full strength, João took the penguin back to the ocean so that it could go back to wherever it came from. But the penguin didn't seem like he wanted to leave João. So he named the penguin Din Dim, and much to João's delight, every day Din Dim kept coming back to visit. Since they met, the penguin, which normally breeds on the Patagonia coasts of Argentina and Chile, thousands of miles away, has become a faithful companion, swimming every year from its habitat to spend up to 8 months living with a lonely retired fisherman in his house on the island, showing a connection that goes beyond mere gratitude. "I love the penguin like it's my own child, and I believe the penguin loves me," said Mr. Souza in an interview with Globo TV, in which the bird honks with delight as he recognizes his human friend. "No one else is allowed to touch him. He pecks them if they do. He lays on my lap, lets me give him showers, allows me to feed him sardines and to pick him up." Now this is a story that is worthy of Disney, and it shows that animals are more than happy to show their gratitude to those that have helped them from terrible situations. Number 2. Mila the beluga whale. Most whale species are known for being both kind and playful with humans, and for one whale named Mila, she was able to sense danger and saved a human's life. In China, there was a banal apnea competition going on, which is basically a type of freediving that leads to people getting really deep in the water, and then they hold their breath for as long as possible. Yang Yun was one such competitor, and she was doing it in a beluga whale pond. As she was doing her run, she realized that something was very wrong with her leg. It was cramped in the freezing water. Unable to swim, she was basically doomed to die. Remember, she was holding her breath. To the shock of all, a beluga whale swam around and saw she was in trouble. Mila, as she would be named, realized Yoon was struggling and actually clamped onto her leg without causing severe pain, and then brought her up back to the surface. "I felt this incredible force under me driving me to the surface," Yoon said. An organizer of the event credited Mila with saving Yoon's life. "She's a sensitive animal who works closely with humans, and I think this girl owes her her life." Whales are incredibly intelligent creatures that are to be respected and honored. Number 1. The dingo. In Australia, there are all kinds of wildlife, and a lot of animals in the outback are deadly and no doubt want to kill you. So it's not surprising that some people have incredible animal encounters, but not all of them are amazing in a good way. Some of them are amazing in a scary way, such as what happened with Carla Walker. She was down under on Fraser Island, and after going for a walk, she found herself looking at a dingo. Dingoes are a type of dog that are infamous for their interactions with humans, and in this case, it didn't want to let Carla go away. I was intrigued, but kept on walking. But the dingo kept on walking too. I tried telling it to get lost, no reaction from the dingo. I then decided to try and move around the dingo. It kept moving with me, almost mirroring what I was doing. I then tried going into the water, thinking surely the dingo wouldn't want to come in. I walked until the water was over my ankles and the dingo walked right on in too. It didn't want me going anywhere. Dingoes may look like cute dogs, but they are the largest land predator in Australia and are considered top of the food chain apex predators. For the most part, dingoes are carnivores, but they also eat fruit, grains, and nuts at times. They eat small to medium game, whatever's on the menu. Was Carla on the menu? She was starting to worry about what would happen when suddenly a car drove up and honked its horn. This distracted the dingo enough, and Carla took the opportunity to run and jump into the car so that she could be rushed away. And that's probably as close as she ever wants to get to a dingo ever again. But was the dingo trying to hurt her? Or maybe he just wanted to be a pet? What do you think?
Number 10. Goonch catfish. There are a lot of pretty creepy fish crawling around in the lakes, rivers and oceans of our world, and one notoriously creepy fish is the Goonch catfish. This thing is an ugly monster that can get up to 6.6 feet long and weigh up to 400 pounds. And an enormous one was recently caught in the Ramganga River in northern India. This particular creepy goonch catfish is unique for its size, as a local news report claimed it could have been the biggest catfish ever found inside a Himalayan river. But it never got to be weighed, as the villagers who caught this slippery catfish were too hungry and ate it before any kind of certification could be done. Or maybe they were just scared of it. This massive goonch catfish looks more like a shark or a whale than a fish. It's absolutely enormous. The villagers had to carry it back home tied to a massive pole. It took 2 men to carry it between them. The goonch catfish is pretty terrifying and appeared on an episode of River Monsters called Killer Catfish, Season 1, Episode 2. In this episode, Jeremy Wade investigated a series of freshwater attacks on people in the Kali River. Everyone thought this thing was to blame. It is rumoured to have developed a taste for human flesh after feeding on corpses thrown into the river after funeral ceremonies. However, it doesn't seem likely that this fish would make people disappear. I certainly wouldn't mess with this monster, but it probably made for one impressive fish fry. Let me know if you think this fish is dangerous in the comments below. Number 9. Siamese carp. A British man in Thailand recently caught the world's biggest and creepiest carp after an incredible 80-minute battle to get the fish from the water and into his arms. Just imagine wrestling with a fishing line for a full 80 minutes. It's one intense workout, especially dealing with Siamese carp, which are absolutely huge. Not to mention they are super creepy with their weird scales, stubby fins and bug eyes. This particular catch, however, is something of a miracle. As the biggest carp ever caught, it weighed an astounding 232 pounds. That's 105 kilograms. The carp was so heavy that they had to use special scales on a stainless steel tripod just to get a proper measurement. The man who caught the fish couldn't even hold it by himself. It took the help of 2 other people just to raise the carp out of the water to get a photograph. Siamese carp are the biggest species in the entire world, and they are found naturally in all kinds of river basins around Asia. And as the name implies, the Siamese carp is extremely common in Thailand. Just imagine finding this chunky fellow in your swimming pool. He looks big enough to take down a human, and if he had managed to drag the fisherman into the water, there's no doubt who would have won that struggle. Number 8. Two-mouthed trout. Of course, everyone wants to see the most bizarre mutant fish. The fish we're talking about now is a two-mouthed trout caught in New York, but it's not the only one of its kind. There have been several reports in recent years of mutant trout being caught with 2 jaws instead of 1. This newest incident, as reported by The Independent, was as recent as 2019. And yes, there are lots of theories swirling around about this bizarre fish. It was hooked out on Lake Champlain in Plattsburgh, New York, and the photos of the fish show that it has a normal mouth, but then a secondary jaw underneath that doesn't appear to be fully formed. But it definitely has 2 mouths. The woman who caught the fish believes that the secondary mouth could have been caused by an injury, very likely from another fisherman. However, there are lots of other interesting theories. Some people say it could have been a mutation, it could have been a birth defect, or it could have been caused by pollution. Other people believe it could have something to do with the sea monster that is believed to live in Lake Champlain, although the fish only weighed about 6 pounds, or 3 kilograms, so it's not much of a sea monster. According to an expert doctor and fish researcher at London's Natural History Museum, this trout is actually pretty normal. Apparently, all fish have a set of gill arches behind their jaws. The doctor believes that this fish either suffered from a birth defect or an injury that caused the skin and muscle that would normally cover that portion of his body to be lost, and therefore the skeletal structure was exposed and it looked just like a second mouth. I prefer to think of it as a radioactive mutant. Maybe another one will be discovered with extra fins or even claws. Yikes! What do you think about these mutant fish? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss on the next videos. Number 7. Fish with lips. If you've ever been interested in kissing a fish on a dare, this is going to be some good news for you. A recent catch out of Malaysia shows a bizarre fish with lips that are weirdly human. And yes, it even has teeth that look extremely human. In fact, everything about the mouth of this fish is human. It could kiss you and bite you at the same time. If that's not the creepiest thing you've ever seen on a fish, well, I don't know what fish you're looking at. And while a lot of people were claiming the photo to be edited after it rose online in 2020, it is 100% real. This type of fish is actually known as a triggerfish, and there are about 40 different kinds of them according to National Geographic. The biggest fish is the stone triggerfish, and it can grow to be around 3.5 feet or 1 meter long. They are typically found in the eastern Pacific and live at the bottom of the ocean, sucking out crabs and worms from the bottom of the sea with their weird lips. The fish's weird teeth are actually used to bite apart sea urchins and eat them. The specific fish in this photo is most likely a black patch triggerfish, and it's a pretty well-known species around the Great Barrier Reef, which does include Malaysia, the area the fish was caught. I still wouldn't get near that face, too creepy. Number 6. Human-faced fish. Another very human-like fish was caught creeping out tourists in a Chinese lake last year. The video of the human-faced fish made it online in 2019, and it was apparently taken by a visitor outside of the city of Kunming in southern China. The video clearly shows a creature with a fish's body and the face of a person. There is literally no other way you can possibly interpret the fish. It looks like a bald man's frowning face, like something terrifying out of a horror movie. The woman who actually filmed the video of the fish can be heard screaming in the background that the fish turned into a fairy. Of course, fairies don't exist, and there is definitely not a fish with a human face. It's really just a weird looking carp with bizarre features that makes it look a lot like a human-faced fish. According to The Sun, it's not the only one of its kind. In 2009, a carp with a human face was discovered in South Korea, and in 2010, another carp with a human face was sold for over $40,000. In 2016, a third carp with a human face was caught in the Hunan province of China by a primary school teacher who, instead of eating the fish, decided to keep it in his home. Could this be the next step in evolution or just a weird coincidence? You be the judge. Number 5. Creepy octopus thing. A creepy octopus fish has been reeled in near Coney Island, New York. This is a classic example of a mysterious deep-sea fish being unexpectedly caught by a fisherman. Many people have pulled out bizarre things over the years, but this one is really strange. It looks like a monster from an alien movie, or like a baby kraken that somehow got too close to the surface. It appears to have 3 tentacle legs, a weird fat head that almost looks like an octopus, and basically no bones. But it's probably not really that mysterious. The fish is most likely a clear-nosed skatefish, which is closely related to a stingray. It could just be that its wings are tucked underneath its body and don't protrude at all. In the video where the fish is flopping around on the boards and looking a lot like an alien, it's highly likely that the fish is just suffering and misshapen because it's not in the water where it's supposed to be. Underwater, this fish would be floating flat over the bottom just like a stingray. On land, it looks like a weird malformed sea monster. Number 4. Bearded fireworm. A fisherman in Texas has caught one of the strangest worms that you will ever see in your life. It's known as a bearded fireworm, and it's not only creepy, it's super poisonous. As the story goes, the woman was at the pier in Port Isabel when she reeled in her line. At first, she thought she had gotten seaweed tangled on her hook, but after a closer look, she realised it was a creepy worm. The worm was covered in bristles and coloured bright red. Luckily, the woman who reeled in the bizarre worm was smart enough to recognise the bright colours and not touch it. If she had, the fireworm could have given her an extremely painful sting. Fireworms spend most of their lives on the floor of the ocean and use their bristles to stab predators and inject them with powerful neurotoxin. A single sting will make you feel like you're on fire, and the sensation can last for hours. These creepy worms hide under rocks in the daytime and then come out at night to eat the remains of already dead sea animals. As far as creepy things go, these worms are up there. Great, now we all have another thing to fear stepping on when we go for a swim at the beach. Number 3. Alien fish. It's not a typo, a fish that looks just like an alien has been caught in Norway. While some people are saying this fish resembles a creepy prehistoric sea monster, others think it looks like a weird alien fish. It was caught by a young Norwegian fisherman back in 2019 off the island of Andøya in Norway. The man who caught the fish was working as a sports fishing guide and was trying to catch blue halibut when he instead caught the creepiest fish of his life. According to him, it took about 30 minutes to reel in the fish. That was because his line was around 2,600 feet deep. The fish that he caught was slimy, it had eyes that were way too big for its body, and it looked like an overgrown tadpole. But the specimen is not actually an alien, of course. It is, however, prehistoric. The fish is known as a ratfish, and it's a relative of the shark dating back to around 300 million years ago. The fish eats crustaceans and is pretty non-threatening, living deep in the ocean. According to the man who caught the fish, it tastes great. The way it looks just turns me off from ever trying it though. I could never eat an alien. Number 2. Mississippi's Fishzilla. There's an invasive and super creepy fish plaguing the waterways of Mississippi, and it's being called the Fishzilla. Recent catches of the so-called Fishzilla, also known as the northern snakehead fish, are beginning to freak out fishermen in the area along the Mississippi. The snakehead fish is not an indigenous species, and the fact that these fish are appearing in bigger and bigger numbers is very disturbing, since they have the potential to wipe out much of the local species and disrupt the ecosystem. Apparently, these fish first came to the region as pets in people's homes, but over the years, they have been let out into the wild and now they are growing in numbers. The reason they are so creepy is because they can crawl out onto the land and survive on the shore. They look a lot like snakes. A northern snakehead can even slime its way across land like a big fat snake. Fish living on land, making their way across the lakes and rivers of the world and preying on the helpless native populations? Sounds like Fishzilla is a pretty smart nickname after all. Number 1. Toothy fish. This number 1 candidate for the creepiest fish looks like an American relative of the famous piranha. It was caught in Oklahoma waters by an 11-year-old girl. Just like with the northern snakehead, this is an invasive species that has no business being anywhere near Oklahoma. The fish is a pacu, and they typically belong in South America. However, people illegally dump them into the lakes and they slowly begin to thrive as apex predators. This particular creepy catch has teeth that are way too human for anyone to feel comfortable with. Opening up this thing's mouth reveals jagged teeth, all bumpy and weird like the fish hasn't brushed them for 30 years. But I'm sure he wouldn't hesitate to make any of us into a snack. I'll be watching very carefully before I set foot in any body of water again.
Number 10. Mystery creature. At the Daventry Reservoir in the United Kingdom, on a seemingly normal Wednesday afternoon, a guy named Adam Cook witnessed a pair of massive fins emerge from the water as if a great white shark was about to burst through the surface. It was Adam's first time out of the reservoir, and now it's probably going to be his last. He was beyond shocked to be greeted by a mysterious water creature. He was at the deepest end of the reservoir when the fins broke the surface and began to move towards him in a way that made him happy he wasn't stuck on a boat. He never managed to get a decent look at it because it quickly ducked back into the water, swam away, and vanished. Luckily, Adam was filming at the time and managed to get a quick few seconds of the monster on camera. Everyone he's shown it to has been stumped as to what it is. Some say it might be a giant aquarium fish that was discarded in the reservoir when it grew to a preposterous size and the owner could no longer take care of it or had the space. Others say it's a mutant sea monster that's been trapped in the reservoir for years. Whatever the case, Adam's not crazy. He definitely saw something huge and terrifying that day. What do you think it was? Number 9. Ghoul. Creepy footage has revealed some kind of humanoid ghoul crawling like a crab through the night on a poorly lit road in Costa Rica. In the video, there's a dog running around the creature barking at it, and some are saying that whatever it was, a ghoul or an alien, it's unlike anything else we know to exist. But what exactly is a ghoul? A ghoul is basically a monstrous humanoid or a demon-like being that originated in the pre-Islamic Arabian religion. In modern fiction, the word ghoul is often used to describe a kind of undead humanoid monster that likes to eat human flesh. But was this a ghoul? Naturally, there are those that aren't convinced. Some are claiming it was just a person crawling on all fours for an unknown reason. Whatever the case, the ghoul has yet to be seen again, and the video footage doesn't appear to be evidence of anything other than something strange in the dark. It could be a ghoul, yes. The problem is that if there's one ghoul, there's probably more, and this would mean that there are legit ghoul creatures living in secret in Costa Rica. Honestly, sounds like a nice getaway. Number 8. The Mothman. The first Mothman sighting occurred in the fall of 1966 in Clendenin, West Virginia. 5 gravediggers claimed to see a humanoid figure soaring through the trees just above them. Days later, in nearby Point Pleasant, 2 couples both spotted a white-winged, human-sized creature one night in front of their cars. When it faced them, they could see its fiery eyes in the headlights. It was like a man with wings, Steve Mallett, one of the witnesses, said. He recounted to the Point Pleasant Register, it wasn't like anything you'd seen on TV or in a monster movie. Another witness, Roger Scarberry, described the creature as having large red eyes. Scarberry said that if he'd seen the creature by himself, he wouldn't have said anything, but there were 4 of us who saw it. The sightings continued on for months after that throughout the area. The mystery and fear surrounding the strange, bird-like monster stopped on December 15, 1967, with the tragic collapse of the Silver Bridge during rush hour. 46 people died. The destruction was blamed on a dysfunctional eye-bar in the suspension chain, but some locals felt that something more sinister was at play and that it might be connected to the many recent reports of an evil-looking creature. Is the Mothman to blame? Number 7. The Beast of Bodmin Moor. Bodmin Moor in England is already a pretty creepy place, so should you find yourself alone there in a street at night, try not to think about the layers of legend, mystery and horror associated with this rugged and wild landscape, especially the legend of the Beast. The Beast is the result of some 60 different sightings of a large black panther-like big cat with white-yellow eyes and incredibly sharp teeth. Most of these sightings are also connected to numerous reports of mutilated livestock. The evidence was strong enough that in 1995, the government ordered an official investigation into the existence of such a beast. When finished, the report said that there was no verifiable evidence of a big cat on Bodmin Moor, although it did state that there was no evidence against it either. In 1998, a video was released that clearly showed a large dark cat around 3.5 feet long. The video proved that big cats do indeed roam Bodmin Moor, but was this the beast that had been killing livestock? Theories abound. If it does exist, and many swear it does, maybe it's just a big cat that escaped from a zoo or a private collection. Some believe it's a species of wild cat that went extinct in Britain over 100 years ago. Some, after reading reports that the strange cat sounds like a woman screaming, are inclined to blame the paranormal. Meanwhile, the sightings continue. What do you think it is? Let us know in the comments down below, and if you're liking this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. Number 6. Lolong. Here's a true story about a monster crocodile named Lolong from the town of Bunawan in the Philippines. Lolong is the biggest and heaviest croc ever caught. Measuring just over 21 feet long and weighing a whopping 2,350 pounds, you can see why many would refer to this croc as a monster. But why was Lolong captured in the first place? Well, in 2011, he was suspected by locals of eating a fisherman, a young girl, and a series of water buffalo. Yeah, that's not good. He was getting a pretty murderous rep, so the village decided that he needed to be taken out. But it definitely wasn't that easy. It took over 3 weeks and 100 people, but the killer croc was finally captured. But it didn't end there. Despite being restrained and put into a secure area at an ecotourism park, Lolong repeatedly broke free from his containment. Did he crave more human flesh? Or did he just want to go home? Sadly, Lolong passed away in 2013 from pneumonia and cardiac arrest. Number 5. Mysterious Russian monster. A strange, tiny creature has been discovered in Russia, and some are claiming it could be an alien corpse. The creature has baffled scientists for a few reasons. First of all, it has a tiny skull, no neck, and a pair of creepy wings. Is it some type of extraterrestrial fairy? It was discovered near the nuclear power plant, leading some to say if it's not an alien, then it's definitely a mutant animal of some type. It has feet like talons, an elongated body, and nobody has any clue what it is. According to the local reports, the unidentified creature was found by 2 residents beside the river Kovashi, near to the town of Sosnovy Bor. It could be a mutant embryo from a chicken. It's definitely not a fish, and local biologist Yegor Zadarev from the Institute of Biophysics in Krasnoyarsk said extensive studies would need to be done to figure out what kind of creature or organism it may be. Those studies have yet to be done, and so the internet still believes the creature has extraterrestrial origins. What do you think? Are there tiny alien fairy creatures running around Russia? Number 4. The Flatwoods Monster of West Virginia. Let me set the scene. It was the evening of September 12th, 1952 in West Virginia. 3 young boys were playing on the lawn of the Flatwoods Elementary School when they spotted a bright light streaking across the sky and crashing into a nearby hill. They decided to investigate. The boys claimed to see a 10-foot-tall creature wearing what appeared to be a dark metal dress and had a head shaped like a spade. It had twisted claws and eyes that glowed an eerie orange color. The creature supposedly levitated off the ground with sickening mist in the air around it. When it hissed and glided toward them, they turned around and fled. Another woman in a nearby town was reported to have seen a similar creature a few years before that. After taking a shortcut through the forest, she spotted a ball of fire. When the woman turned back, she said she saw a tall, dark silhouette of a humanoid figure. Another incident occurred after the one in Flatwoods, with a couple out with their 18-month-old son. After their car broke down on a deserted road, a foul sulfur smell filled the air around them. When a bright light shone down upon them in the darkness, they are said to have witnessed a 10-foot-tall creature with the head of a reptile hovering in front of their car. Although the monster hasn't been seen since the original incidents in 1952, the local community continues to talk about the Flatwoods. It is believed that if you stand outside at night in West Virginia, you can almost feel the presence of the Flatwoods monster somewhere in the forest, watching you. Number 3. The Rock Apes of Vietnam. During the Vietnam War, American troops reported sightings of strange creatures in the jungles near the borders of Laos and Cambodia. There were numerous reports from US troops on patrols of a weird, reddish-brown, not quite human but not quite ape creature the locals call Nuoi Rung, or the people of the forest, basically Bigfoot. One of the witnesses was Gary Linderer, with the 101st Airborne's long-range reconnaissance patrols. While struggling through the underbrush one day, he ran into deep-set eyes on a prominent brow, 5 feet tall, with long, muscular arms. The creature walked upright with broad shoulders and a heavy torso. His battle buddies told him he just saw a rock ape, but he'd seen rock apes before and was positive this was no rock ape. The creatures got their name from their habit of throwing rocks. It's even been said that they would toss grenades back at those who tried to harm them with the projectiles. Army Sergeant Thomas Jenkins claimed his platoon was even attacked by these apes throwing stones. Toward the end of the war, so many soldiers reported sightings, scientists decided to investigate. Is it possible soldiers were just mistaking them for orangutans? Possibly, but orangutans are said to have gone extinct in the area thousands of years ago. Maybe they were seeing white-cheeked gibbons. They are native to Vietnam, but are nowhere near 6 feet tall like the rock apes had been described. Whatever the explanation, a local general heard about these rock apes so much that he decided to organize an expedition in 1974 to hunt and kill one of these creatures. But no evidence of the creatures was ever found. Another expedition organized by a local professor was just as unsuccessful. But a set of oversized, human-like footprints were found in the jungle. With no real evidence to prove these rock apes are real, maybe these stories are just hallucinations made up from the troubled minds of soldiers trying to deal with the horrors of war. What do you think? Number 2. Loch Ness Monster. The Loch Ness Monster has been sighted for the second time in less than 2 weeks. A visitor at Loch Ness caught a glimpse of the legendary creature as it rose its head out of the murky water. Edinburgh Live, a local news source, reported that the tourist on holiday saw the prehistoric creature rise at least 2 feet out of the lake. The witness didn't want to be identified for personal reasons, but gave all the details of what happened. First of all, he wasn't actually in the lake when it happened. He was looking through a pair of binoculars. The alleged monster was about 2/3 of the way across the lake when it reared its dragon-like head into the air. The unnamed witness believed it was at least 12 feet long, which actually coincides with many of the other sightings that have taken place recently. Seeing as there are no known 12-foot-long fish in Loch Ness, the only reasonable explanation is that the Loch Ness Monster made a very rare appearance. It's just too bad that the witness didn't have a reliable camera ready. Number 1. The Chupacabra. The legend of the Chupacabra is one of the most pervasive urban myths out there. Because from the moment it was discussed back in Puerto Rico in 1995, after a range of attacks on livestock, it spread across the region and many today believe it exists. What's more, they believe they've seen it on their land. A very strange image has been going around online showing the legendary Chupacabra with its head cut off and mounted on a fence. Yeah, it's a pretty gruesome photo and it's been circling for quite a while now, but there's been a lot of understandable speculation over just how real it really is. Some claim it's definitely the real head of a Chupacabra, the mythical beast from Mexico that sucks the blood out of goats, while others say it's simply a dog head rotting away or even a Halloween mask. Sadly for everyone, this was not actually the Chupacabra. It could be cool if it was, but that's just not the case. According to Snopes, the picture of the decapitated head was produced by a video artist named Charlie White. As part of a series of images of terrifying-looking monsters, there were several pictures taken around the LA area that were supposed to represent accidental monster encounters. It was part of an art exhibition that got miscaptioned and spread around online. While the Chupacabra might be real, it has not been found and beheaded in Los Angeles. 10. Bear break-ins. There's nothing quite scarier than having a bear break into your house. Bears are massive, powerful, territorial creatures. The last thing anyone needs is one of these beasts in their very own territory, yet that's exactly what happened in the Canadian province of British Columbia in 2021. During the brutal heatwave that cooked much of Western North America, bears were busy robbing people's homes. On June 26 alone, the BC Conservation Officer Service responded to at least 3 different reports of bears simply walking into people's houses like they owned them. That was in a span of only 24 hours. People all throughout the Vancouver region were being burgled by bears. One of the biggest issues was that people were leaving their doors open to try and cool down their houses. This resulted in bears strolling right in through the open thresholds to try and get some snacks. Imagine a bear on your front porch peeking through your screen door. Hello? Anyone home? Nobody was injured, but several people had to cower, hide, and phone the police because a huge black bear was rummaging through their kitchen. I mean, forget being cooked alive by the sun. People were nearly mauled to death in their own homes by bears. 9. Mountain lion attack. Travis Kaufman was going for a run one day like he normally did in Colorado when he heard something strange on the trail behind him. He turned to see what was making the noise and felt a wave of fear wash over him, because 3 meters away from him was his worst nightmare. It was a mountain lion and it had its hungry eyes set on Travis. At 31 years old, Travis may have been in peak physical condition, but he still wasn't that eager to do hand-to-hand combat with a giant cat. Unfortunately, the cat didn't give him much of a choice. Travis did what he was supposed to. He threw his hands over his head and screamed, but the mountain lion wasn't scared. It instead ran right for him and tried to bite his head off. Luckily, Travis threw his hands in front of his face to block the animal's attack. It turned into an all-out brawl with Travis and the cat rolling across the trail, each trying to kill the other. According to what Travis told local news afterward, his fear immediately turned into survival, rage, and he was caught up in the heat of the moment. As horrible as it is, Travis had no choice but to kill the attacking animal. He managed to mount the mountain lion, grab a rock off the ground, and pummel it in the skull like some sort of crazy WWE move. But it still wouldn't let up. Travis ended up strangling the cat until it finally let go of him, at which point he ran away down the trail. He ran into some hikers who helped get him to the hospital where he needed 17 stitches on his cheek and 6 on his nose. When wildlife authorities went to investigate the scene of the attack, they found the wildcat dead. Travis had defeated the beast. Do you think you would have been able to? 8. Roaming street dogs. In West Indianapolis, a pack of violent dogs was recently caught after attacking local pets and residents, and in some cases killing neighborhood animals. Even after multiple complaints filed with the Animal Control Department, the dogs have still yet to be captured and are continuing to terrorize the neighborhood. One of the residents who experienced the brutality of these roaming street dogs firsthand was Felicia Sosa, who was minding her own business in her front yard when 2 pit bulls came out of nowhere and tried to eat her chihuahuas. The tiny dogs managed to get away, though one of them needed stitches for wounds inflicted on his throat and neck, and Sosa herself just about got torn apart too. Just a few months later, the same dogs showed back up at Sosa's house and killed her cat, which was hanging out on a back deck. Was this revenge? But the attacks didn't even end there. Several other neighborhood pets were ravaged by these angry pit bulls too. The worst part is that the neighbors eventually figured out who the dogs belonged to. Somebody in the neighborhood wasn't able to keep his dogs inside, and they were repeatedly breaking out of the backyard and terrorizing the neighborhood. But because they didn't attack any humans, there was nothing animal control could do about it. What would you do if one of your neighbor's dogs kept getting out and attacking everyone's pets? Let us know in the comments section down below, and if you're liking this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. Number 7. Rampaging coyotes. A woman from Woodland Hills recently survived being attacked by a pack of 12 coyotes. According to the report from CBS Los Angeles, the curious coyotes had been coming down from the hills and roaming the local neighborhoods like animal ninjas at night under the cover of darkness. In the last couple of years, the pack has nearly doubled in size and become a real nuisance. The attack happened when 2 coyotes managed to break through the front gate of Michael Seabolt's property. It was a trick. The coyotes broke the gate, Michael's family dog ran after them, and his wife wasn't far behind. But by the time she reached the end of the road, she realized her mistake. There were 12 coyotes waiting for her and her dog, and they attacked without mercy. Luckily, a neighbor heard the commotion and came to help. And just in time too, because Seabolt's dog was in the middle of being torn apart. The dog suffered a series of deep cuts and the woman was nearly mauled by the ferocious canids, but the neighbor's intervention sent them scurrying away. It's believed the coyotes have a den in the area, though wildlife officials haven't been able to find it. So, as of right now, no one in Woodland Hills is safe from the rampaging coyotes. 6. Attack of the Sharks. During the filming of Blue Planet 2, the epic wildlife show narrated by David Attenborough, the film crew was attacked by sharks in horrifying unaired footage that was recently uploaded online. A group of 6 gill sharks attacked the film crew while they were trying to get footage in their underwater submarine. The team was at a depth of around 2,100 feet, filming what happens to a whale carcass when it floats to the bottom of the sea. What they didn't expect was for the hungry sharks to forget about the whale corpse and go after them. The 6-gill sharks were at least 18 feet long each, with huge teeth and powerful bodies. One of the crew members can be heard in the footage saying, "They're huge, I've never seen anything like this." But unfortunately, the sharks became insanely aggressive, especially since there was food around. They must have thought the submarine was competition and was there to steal their easy meal. So the sharks attacked the sub, smashing their huge bodies against the glass and snapping at each other. It became a serious problem, as even though the submarine was tough and made of metal, the sharks appeared to be tougher. The crew had to abandon the project and quickly move the submarine away from the situation. And in the nick of time too, just before the sharks shattered the glass and ate them alive. 5. Snakes in the attic. A woman in Australia got the fright of a lifetime when she discovered a pair of snakes battling it out in her attic. She heard weird noises and went upstairs to investigate, and was horrified to see 2 giant male pythons locked in an epic battle to the death. It was mating season, and the 2 snakes were probably battling for a nearby female. Well, this woman was not super interested in giant snakes brawling in her attic, so she called in a professional to remove the serpents. She was actually very lucky that their fighting didn't break through a ceiling and come crashing down in her living room. She was also lucky to get the snakes out of her house when she did, as having a bunch of giant pythons slithering through your walls sounds like a sure way to get eaten while you're asleep. 4. Attack of the grizzly. In Montana, a cyclist was camping when she got brutally mauled to death by a grizzly bear. The last thing any cyclist wants is to be ripped apart by a huge set of bear paws, and yet that's exactly what happened near the small town of Ovando when the victim was pulled out of her tent by the hungry grizzly. 2 days after the terrifying attack, wildlife agents, with the help of local law enforcement, were still searching for the wild animal, desperate to put it down before it killed again. The victim was Leah Loken, a 65-year-old woman from California who was camping overnight while on a long-haul bicycling trip. According to what Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks said, Loken was in her tent with 2 other people when they were woken up by the bear. This happened at about 3 o'clock in the morning. They managed to scare the bear away and fell back asleep. However, the bear apparently wasn't done and came back for round 2. It ripped the tent open, dragged Loken out of it, and by the time the other campers managed to bust out their bear spray and scare the monster off, she was dead, ripped to shreds like a wolverine in wet paper bag. This might be one of those situations where a gun might come in handy, especially in bear country. 3. Human-hippo conflict. One of the weirder side effects of the COVID-19 pandemic has been an increase in the amount of people getting killed by hippopotamuses. As outrageous as that sounds, National Geographic says it is 1,000% true. According to them, because of the economic fallout from the pandemic, more people in Kenya have turned to fishing. More fishermen means more people at the water, which means more opportunity for hippos to attack. Hippos actually kill more people in Africa than any other animal, including lions and crocodiles. The story George Mora told National Geographic is one of the most recent tragedies. He went fishing with his close friend Babu on the shores of Lake Naivasha. They couldn't afford a boat, so they simply waded into the water to reel in their fishing traps. Sounds like a dangerous idea with hippos around. And that was when the hippo attacked. It first launched at Moora, but he was able to dodge the huge beast. So the hippo went for his friend Babu. Babu was not able to swim. When the hippo clamped down on his little body with its huge teeth, the young fisherman was sadly done for. There was nothing anyone could do, even with dozens of locals running to the edge of the water, desperate to help. By the time the hippo stopped thrashing in the water and let go of Babu, it was as if he'd been bludgeoned by a dozen men with sledgehammers. The poor guy was barely recognizable. 2. Siberian tiger runs over farmer. A Siberian tiger recently performed a hit and run that terrified local villagers to their core. It happened in Russia, where the tiger allegedly crossed the border from China and then attacked a car full of people before running over a female farmer in its fury. This bizarre incident happened in the village of Turi Roj, with the huge 200-pound big cat charging the vehicle. It hit the car so hard that it left a dent, before turning to run away and accidentally ramming into the lady farmer who had, for some insane reason, gotten out of the car in her panic. Please, never ever do this. She was very lucky the tiger kept on running and didn't want to eat her. She suffered a bit of trauma but was otherwise uninjured. The tiger, who was also by definition an illegal immigrant, was then captured by wildlife specialists, given a medical checkup, and was due to be released back into the wild. Hopefully, it's learned to stay away from the highway. Number 1. Angry Bobcat. Speaking of angry cats, a bobcat recently attacked someone in North Carolina. According to the victim, Scott Jackson, the growl of the terrifying feline was still ringing in his head 3 weeks after the attack that almost turned deadly. This happened in June when Scott pulled up to his house with groceries. He noticed his chickens were acting weird, running in circles and freaking out. He also heard a low growl, but had never anticipated there was a dangerous cat trying to eat his chickens. And now that it had turned its attention on him, the bobcat had somehow gotten underneath the back of his car while he was grabbing groceries. Scott noticed the animal, but it was too late. The cat pounced on him, trying to scratch his face off. The attack only lasted about 5 seconds, but Scott was left injured and needed to go immediately to the nearest hospital. The cat had ripped apart his left soldier and left him covered in savage bite marks. The ER doctor told Scott he was lucky to be alive. He was also lucky that he went to the hospital right away. As it turned out, the bobcat was rabid, and rabies is scary. Scott had to get a few rounds of rabies vaccinations to stop him from turning rabid himself. 10. Great white shark. A diver that was exploring off the coast of Florida had a very spooky encounter with a massive great white shark. He actually captured the encounter on video using the underwater camera attached to his head. Jimmy Roseman was swimming in the murky waters of Vero Beach when he realized a great white shark was circling him. According to what Roseman told local TV news, the shark kept a distance of no less than 7 feet or 2.1 meters during the encounter. It was absolutely terrifying, especially since the great white shark can grow to be over 20 feet or 6 meters long and over 5,000 pounds or around 2,200 kilos heavy, with 7 rows of over 300 extremely sharp teeth. If you've seen Jaws the movie, it's pretty likely you have some kind of fear of sharks, specifically giant ones that are circling you. Attacks are relatively uncommon, but when they happen, well, they're usually fatal. Humans are seriously no match for these apex predators. This is one of those times that the diver got off lucky. He was insanely fortunate that he had his spear gun with him, and when he poked the shark with the sharp end of the gun, it swam away. But if he hadn't had that gun with him, or the good sense to defend himself, there's no telling what the giant shark would have done. 9. Dangerous dolphins. A British girl has been attacked by dolphins. Yes, dolphins. Dolphins may be the jokers of the sea, but they apparently have a very dark side to them not many people know about, or even want to fathom. This British girl was only 10 years old when she went to Dolphin Discovery in Cancun with her family to get the full swimming with dolphins experience. The experience happened in a closed-off part of the sea in which the dolphins are kept captive. Basically, the dolphins here are prisoners, and just like any other prisoner, they probably don't enjoy being harassed. When the girl got into the sea pen with the animals, they turned on her in seconds. The child's mother watched helplessly as the dolphins dragged the girl underwater and started biting her. The girl survived the incident, though she was left with lacerations, bruises, and teeth marks from the angry dolphins. Nobody knows why they attacked this child unprovoked. Maybe they thought it was funny, or maybe they thought she was one of their captors. A lot of tourist venues sell close contact interactions with dolphins with the promise of a magical moment with the creatures. Animal-loving visitors book these experiences with good intentions for their friends and family and don't realize the hidden risk and cruelty that these businesses are profiting from. Luckily, this little girl ended up okay, but she'll probably be afraid of dolphins for the rest of her life. 8. Stingray stay away. Even though everybody says stingrays aren't aggressive or dangerous, an awful lot of people will disagree, as there have been quite a handful of people killed by them recently. Australian conservationist and beloved personality Steve Irwin was killed by one in 2006, and another Australian man was just murdered by another stingray in Tasmania. The guy had been swimming at Lauderdale Beach when the incident occurred. It's not exactly clear what this guy was doing in the water other than swimming, as he wasn't in the best of shape to answer questions after the attack. These creatures can get pretty big. They can be over 7.5 feet or 2.2 meters long from their heads to the tip of their tail. and they can weigh 700 pounds or 320 kilos. However, they usually only sting for self-defense purposes, so maybe the stingray thought it was in trouble and that's why it stung him. The official statement was that he had inflicted wounds probably by a marine animal, but the local media and animal experts did say his wound was consistent with a stingray attack. According to the BBC, after he suffered a puncture to his lower abdomen, the man went into cardiac arrest and sadly he died. He was only 42 years old at the time. 7. Hungry Hippo. A woman from Tampa Bay named Kristen Yaldor survived an attack from the most dangerous animal in all of Africa back in 2018. She was just living her best life, enjoying a vacation with her husband in Zimbabwe, celebrating her upcoming birthday. This particular day started off like any other on an African vacation, but it was also Kristen's special day. She and her husband set off for some nature photography near Victoria Falls. They were going on a river tour and both of them were really excited. Just as they began to snap gorgeous photos, the guide ordered them to quickly paddle back to shore. That's because he spotted a hippopotamus, the animal that kills more humans in Africa every year than carnivores and predators. Unfortunately for Kristen, she didn't get out of the water fast enough. The hippo smashed into her boat, knocked her into the river, then bit her right leg and dragged her underwater. Luckily, she was an experienced scuba diver. She knew to hold her breath and not panic. Kristen was smart enough to stick her hands into the hippo's mouth, startling the big animal. With its grip loose on her legs, she swam back to shore and out of danger. But the fun wasn't over. Kristen was in bad shape. Her leg was definitely broken and she was bleeding pretty badly. She had to be airlifted to a hospital, and she then spent the next few weeks in and out of hospitals and surgeries as she recovered from the deadly bite. Now she's back home and doing just fine. That's one epic birthday for the books. Have you ever been on a river tour and seen a hippo? Tell us about your experience in the comments section below, and if you're enjoying this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. 6. Angry orcas. Not all of the most terrifying underwater encounters are strictly human. It turns out great white sharks are just as prone to having nightmarish encounters with sea animals as humans. Autopsies done on 6 great white shark bodies that washed up on the South African coast have shown that orca whales, also known as killer whales, are targeting sharks and purposefully eating their livers and hearts. Yikes! Marine biologist Alison Towner helped to perform the autopsies, later describing her findings on Shark Talk. She claims that the orca whales are physically ripping open the sharks just below their throats with expert precision, allowing the organs to slip out from inside and be gobbled up by the whales. While this doesn't exactly have anything to do with people, it's pretty terrifying for the poor great white sharks who are just swimming around trying to eat people having a relaxing day at the beach. But hey, now the sharks know what it feels like to be hunted. Who knew killer whales and great white sharks had such turmoil between them? I wonder who started it. I am here for the drama. 5. Killed by a gator. In South Carolina, a woman has died after a rather silly encounter with an alligator. The entire thing was, well, her very own fault. The death happened on Kiowa Island after the woman tried to touch the alligator as if it was a fluffy kitten. The victim had spotted the alligator from a friend's porch and was taking pictures of it. She then wanted to pet the alligator. When the victim's friend came outside and saw her down by the pond, seemingly playing with the alligator, she screamed for her to get away. She also screamed that a deer had been eaten by an alligator from the very spot she stood not more than a few days ago. In response, the victim yelled back that she didn't look like a deer. It doesn't really get more ignorant than that. It was just a few seconds later, after making this completely outlandish remark, that the alligator launched itself at the woman, just like it would with a deer. It got her by the leg and was pulling her into the water. By this time, someone had gotten a rope and threw it towards the woman. She managed to get the rope in her hand, but by then she was halfway into the water. Her last words were, "I guess I won't do this again," and then she was gone, savaged underwater by the annoyed alligator. Authorities say as helpers were pulling the rope, the gator started to do its famous roll and Covert lost her grip and she went underwater. Deputies with the Charleston County Sheriff's Office and crews with the St. John's Fire Department scanned the pond, but did not see any movement when they arrived. After about 15 minutes, authorities saw her body surface. However, when crews reached covert, the alligator still had her by the leg and then pulled her back under the water. 4. Nipple attack. A man was in the water just minding his own business when the unthinkable happened. He was only up to his waist, but it was deep enough to be viciously attacked. Luckily for us, he was recording himself with an underwater camera pointed up at his face. In the video, we have a full view of the small fish swimming around his waist and of his chest, the area that was attacked. What seemed to be a completely innocent fish turned out to be demons when one of them lurched out of the water, went at least a foot above the surface, bit the guy's nipple as hard as it could, and then splashed back down and swam away. We don't know exactly where this guy was, so I can't warn you to stay away from the area. But what we do know is nobody is safe anywhere in the water with nipple-biting fish swimming around. I'm not sure if this encounter is scary or hilarious. What do you think? 3. Walrus selfie. A man in China tried to take a selfie with a walrus. If you know anything about the walrus, you'll know it is not a creature that really likes to take selfies. It's also one of the biggest marine mammals in the world. The man who was attacked had been visiting Shishaka Wildlife Park by himself and was busy taking videos and pictures for social media. He came across the walrus. It looked pretty friendly to him, so he started taking pictures with it. That was when the walrus grabbed the man from behind and pulled him into the nearby water pool. One of the witnesses claimed that the walrus had just wanted to play, but considering the walrus weighed around 1.5 tons or 2,500 pounds, it was a bit like playing with a bulldozer in the water. The animal kept the unfortunate businessman submerged, throwing his body around like a paper doll until he eventually died. After the incident, the public was outraged because there hadn't been any kind of barrier between the animal and the public. The deceased man's family was given a handsome payout, though it's not yet clear whether they have installed walls to keep the walrus and the public separated as of yet. Sometimes people forget just how wild and unpredictable animals can be. 2. Fatal sting. A teenager in Australia was recently let off life support just a week after having an unfortunate encounter with a box jellyfish while swimming at the beach in Queensland. According to the BBC, the youngster's death is the first fatality recorded since 2006 in relation to the box jellyfish. This is a creature considered to be the most venomous in the marine world. The box jellyfish has very long tentacles covered in barbs that deliver deadly poison the moment they come into contact with your skin. Once the venom is injected, it leads to cardiac arrest, paralysis, and most often, death. Local authorities say the boy had been swimming near the small town of Bamaga when he was stung. It was so serious that he had to be flown to a faraway hospital and treated, but unfortunately for him and his loved ones, the treatment didn't work. His body simply couldn't handle the venom, and he passed away after a week of being kept alive on machines. 1. Spearfishing fail. A 34-year-old man was spearfishing off the coast of Australia when he ran into a rather ornery shark. The incident happened in 2020, around 200 miles or 320 k's up the coast from the city of Brisbane. The man never even caught any fish. He was just swimming around when the shark attacked him from his blind spot, clamped down on his leg, and ripped the limb into shreds. The shark's teeth did such great damage that it needed only one bite to put the man down for good. He bled out despite being immediately treated by medical professionals. There was simply nothing they could do to stop so much blood pouring out of his body. Unfortunately, there was no word on what type of shark it was. Judging by the shocking lethality of the attack, it was probably a great white or a bull shark.
Number 10. A real-life direwolf. Yellowstone National Park is known for its natural wonders and incredible wildlife, from grazing deer to wild grey wolves. Wolves were almost completely wiped out throughout most of the US by the early 1900s, but in 1995, wild wolves were released in Yellowstone to try and help their numbers recover. January 12, 2020 was the 25th anniversary since wolves returned to Yellowstone, and it's an amazing success story. These majestic animals are fierce to behold in their natural habitat. Nobody knows this better than a photographer named Siddharth Gandhi, who happened upon a dangerous wild wolf while driving through the Lamar Valley back in the winter of 2017. He reported that he was driving back in the evening when the wolf appeared on the side of the edge of the road. He stopped his car and said it was an amazing experience to see a wild grey wolf so close. I was in awe. What Mr. Gandhi spotted while driving the nighttime road was no ordinary grey wolf. With a black coat of fur and yellow eyes, at first it crosses the street like a possessed beast from the underworld. Gandhi seemed to have stumbled upon a real-life direwolf. The photographer's video shows a four-legged creature trailing along the roadside, looking to be at least 150 pounds of raw muscle. The wolf showed absolutely no fear while it walked from one side of the road to another, totally confident in the photographer's headlights. It was identified as a female named White Dot, from the Prospect Peak Pack that has about 10 members. At first she looks terrifying, but after a little while you could imagine her being friendly. Well, I still wouldn't risk it, would you? After witnessing this impressive beast, the photographer's goal is to showcase wildlife in their natural habitat. He does not use bait to encourage animals to come closer. While animal sightings are fairly common in Yellowstone National Park, spotting such a fearsome wolf is truly incredible. Next time you're at Yellowstone, keep your ears open for the wolf's howl, or perhaps you'll even be lucky enough to see one. Number 9. A snake in an internet cafe. It was a quiet day in Thailand when a small internet cafe was rudely invaded by what appeared to be a massive 4-foot-long snake. A customer was casually opening the door while chatting to his friends when suddenly he felt something on his hand. He tried to shake it off before realizing it was a snake. The snake had been lurking in the corner outside and was just waiting for the right moment. It launched itself at the boy and snapped at him. It probably meant to go after his hand but missed. His reaction was expected, a sudden burst of panic as he jumped across the room and drop-kicked another young guy who had been trying to enjoy his paid internet. After a brief kicking frenzy on the floor, the snake let go and retreated to a corner, scaring another 2 people sitting in their chairs using the internet. Everyone hopped on the chairs to get as far away from it as possible. Luckily, no one was harmed and the snake wasn't one of Thailand's venomous slithery reptiles like their infamous monocle cobra or Siamese viper. It was only a rat snake, apparently looking for food. And while the young man got away with nothing more than a terrific scare, he's definitely going to look twice the next time he opens a door. Number 8. A manta ray seeks human help. Everyone knows Australia has some of the world's most incredible and dangerous wildlife, especially aquatic animals. From jellyfish to sharks, turtles to manta rays, the shores of Australia are teeming with some of Earth's most amazing creatures. An encounter in summer 2019 shows just how close the relationship between man and sea beast can be. While swimming in the area of Ningaloo Bay, Australia, a diver was asked nicely by Freckles, a local manta ray, to help remove a dangerous hook that had pierced beneath its eye. The resulting video footage shows a massive white-bellied manta ray opening its wings so that the swimmer can pull out the ugly hook. It is truly incredible to witness the total stillness as the manta ray waits for the man to successfully pull out the hook. The water is clear blue, the manta ray completely open like a pale underwater angel, and the swimmer desperately trying to unhook the alien object from the manta ray's eye. Finally, after a few attempts, the diver removes the hook and the manta ray swims off into the depths. It's astonishing, but there's no doubt it was grateful for the human's help. Sharks have also been known to do this with divers. No matter what you think about these animals, they're clearly smarter than we give them credit for. This underwater encounter proves that much. Have you ever had a crazy encounter with a wild animal? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're new here. Number 7. A peek from a humpback whale. I never knew that Ireland was the best place to go looking for an incredible encounter with a humpback whale. While boating in the summer of 2019 along the Irish coast near County Kerry, a young boy was stunned to find himself staring directly into the eye of a truly majestic creature of the sea. As if a team of whales swimming around the father and son's small boat was not impressive enough, the whale pokes its entire blue head out of the water and appears to look straight at the young boy. If that's not enough to make you pause in amazement, I don't know what is. Nothing describes the boy's shock quite like how he gapes back at his father in the video. Humpback whales are gentle giants, ranging anywhere from 39 to 52 feet in length and weighing up to 30 metric tons. They aren't necessarily shy, but they don't generally pop out of the water to wink at people either. This boy was truly given the peak of his lifetime at this friendly whale. Number 6. Canadian grizzlies have a disagreement. Canada is a land of natural beauty, but also of savage wildlife, and yes, that means bloody encounters between huge grizzly bears. It was in September of 2019 that a woman came across 2 grizzlies at the side of the road near the border between Canada and Alaska in one of the wildest places in the world. Incredibly enough, she came upon these bears in the middle of a heated argument. In a video posted by The Onlooker, 2 huge male grizzly bears roar and shove each other from one side of the road to another. The brawl is as intense as it gets. Grizzly bears are true giants of the Canadian wilderness, heavy and fiercely territorial when it comes to mating season. You can see the power of these two beasts as they roar and try to take bites out of one another. In fact, the bears' fight is so exciting that a small wolf appears on the side of the road to enjoy the show free of charge. Is the wolf as amazed by this unexpected encounter as the one who's videotaping it? We can only guess. But in any case, the video ends with the victorious bear chasing the other one across the road, likely expelling it forever from the territory. Remember this incredible encounter next time you're in bear country. Number 5. Surprise silverback gorilla in Rwanda. Getting in the way of a silverback gorilla and making him angry is not what you want to do. Sounds obvious, right? Well, in May of 2017, a group of tourists learned this the hard way. Of course, they wanted to see the gorilla up close, but they were a little too eager. The video uploaded by one of the tourists shows the group in a dense area of jungle in Rwanda. Who comes strolling up the path? A massive silverback gorilla. You can see the tourists in the video turning their backs on the gorilla to not appear challenging or threatening. If one had made the silly move of pulling out their camera or saying hello to the giant ape, this encounter could have gone very differently. As it went, the gorilla simply kept on trucking right through the people, shouldering past them like a pushy pedestrian in a big hurry. The person who uploaded the video called it a once-in-a-lifetime experience, and the adrenaline levels must have been through the roof. What do you think? Do you want to trek with gorillas? One thing is for certain, having a full-sized silverback gorilla nonchalantly stroll by you in the middle of the African jungle is one heck of an incredible encounter. Number 4. Panther on the boardwalk. Florida is notorious for gators, ridiculously large snakes, countless miles of wetlands, and some of the hottest weather in the country. But did you know that in recent years there has been a rather unexpected resurgence of panthers? That's right, panthers. You know, pumas, big cats with big teeth and sharp claws. Well, a lady from Wisconsin was taking a leisurely hike in a Florida nature preserve when she had a run-in with one of these powerful predators. National Geographic reports that encounters with the Florida panther have been increasing as they make a slow comeback, but remember, they were here first. In a video posted by the shocked woman, she was clearly enjoying a nice quiet stroll. Then, the oversized house cat came jumping out of the shadows. The woman continued filming, backed against the railing, then gasped as the feline charged past and kept on down the boardwalk. I think it's safe to say she was given the surprise of a lifetime in this incredible wildlife encounter. As scared as we may be of these majestic felines, it is crucial to remember that they are more afraid of us. And while there are only somewhere around 180 panthers living in Florida, it looks like their numbers are growing. How will the increasing number of panthers impact the local residents of the Sunshine State? Number 3. A curious hyena. Hyenas have become famous from their role in The Lion King, the goofy scoundrels of the African savannah. But did you know that hyenas are actually apex predators? Did you also know that hyenas are not dogs, but are closer genetically to big cats like leopards and tigers? Well, it's true. These incredible animals are surprisingly dangerous, with jaws that can easily crunch through bone. During a 2019 safari in the Masai Mara of Kenya, a tour guide and his group came shockingly close to a curious hyena in the wild. Rather than leap into the safari jeep, the hyena merely approached and sniffed, seeming to say hello to the safari guide. He seemed even more surprised than his guests. Hyenas are typically pack hunters, but the lone hyena was keen on making friends. After a brief interaction, the hyena went back about its business, leaving everyone in the jeep stunned by such a rare and beautiful wildlife encounter. What about you? Would you like a personal greeting from one of these crazy carnivores? Or would you prefer to stay away from the savannah and keep all your fingers intact? Remember, hyenas have been known to attack unsuspecting humans asleep in their territory. Number 2. Giant squid off the coast of Japan. The ocean, that is, the deep ocean, is riddled with the stuff of nightmares. Fish with no eyes and giant teeth, monstrous sharks who can smell blood from far away, and dangerous jellyfish that ensnare and devour prey. But is there really a kraken at the bottom of the sea? Honestly, it's not likely. But the closest thing to a real-life kraken is definitely the giant squid. Back on Christmas Eve 2015, while diving in Toyama Bay near Tokyo, an excited diver filmed a very special squid's first ever viral close-up. While only measuring roughly 12 feet long, the squid still looked imposing. Shaped like an orange torpedo, the squid swam about for a while, followed and filmed by the diver, before retreating out to sea. What makes this wildlife encounter so incredible is that most giant squid are only found once their bodies get washed up on shore or drift close to the ocean's surface. They are one of the most elusive sea creatures, living far beneath the waves. This curious squid was just a baby at 12 feet long, since adults can grow to be at least 40 feet. Some scientists say that the squid can grow to a maximum of 60 feet while living in the darkest depths of the sea. Imagine bumping into one of those on your next snorkeling trip. And now for the number 1 unbelievable animal encounter in the wild. But first, let me ask you something. Which of these animal encounters impresses you the most? Which animal would you want to meet in the wild, and which scares you the most? I look forward to seeing your answers in the comments below. Number 1. Panda meets horse in northwest China. There is only one country in the world where you can find wild pandas coming down the road while walking your horse. Of course, it has to be China. A video from 2018 shows a man walking with his horse up a steep mountain trail in the Shanxi province of China, when a panda comes walking down the trail towards them. What follows is one of the most interesting animal encounters on this list. The horse appears to be stunned by the oncoming panda. This makes sense, since it's not often that you'd find horses and pandas frolicking together in the wild. After a brief pause, the horse decides to keep going up the road. Then the panda tries to rush the horse. After a bit of panic and confusion, the panda backs off and the horse decides to eat some nearby grass. Moments later, the panda vanishes up the road. Suffice to say, these two animals probably don't have a future as friends. Seeing as how rare pandas are, the horse and panda meeting is a seriously incredible animal encounter. What would you do if you encountered a wild panda while going for a stroll? As always, thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time!